This new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius is the first of its kind in 19 years. This one, however, is a pretty special case because while the eclipse itself is taking place in the sign of Aquarius, the North Node that's creating this eclipse is actually still in the sign of Pisces. This gives us what we call a hybrid eclipse, and it's going to be a pretty interesting affair. What was happening for you 19 years ago? That really is the question. What was happening for you around 2008, give or take? What was happening for you around 2017, give or take? And I say that because the last time we had eclipses in Aquarius and Leo, as we're about to have this year, kicking off with this Aquarius eclipse on the 17th of February at 28 degrees of Aquarius. The last time we had these eclipses was actually 2017-ish, give or take a few months, etc. Now, the reason I say this is because the last time the North Node, last time we had these eclipses in Aquarius and Leo, we literally had the nodes flipped to the placements that they're in currently. So that's why I say the 19 years before in 2008, circa 2008-ish, give or take, will have been the last time that we had the North Node eclipses happening in Aquarius and the South Node eclipses happening in Leo. So there's 2 points for you to look back to so that you can get an idea of what the flavor, energy, and themes are likely to be. But with that said, let's get into it and see what we can get out of this eclipse and more importantly, how it's going to unfold for us. So, this Aquarius eclipse, obviously, as I've said, is taking place at 28 degrees on the 17th of February. This is a new collective cycle that is beginning here. The eclipse in Aquarius is a pretty big deal because it's this kicking off this brand new cycle of eclipses, even though the nodes are still in the previous places. This is the first eclipse in the sign of Aquarius that we've had since 2017, as I already said. And as with all new moons, eclipses carry the energetic signature of the sign that they occur in. Aquarius has a very specific message for humanity. So when we're thinking about how eclipses work, right, remember that eclipses unpack over time. They are rarely ever a single event and done, right? So a standard new or full moon works within I always call this the window, right? So if it's a standard new moon or full moon, the day before, the day of, and the day after is really where you get to see what was either seeded at a new moon or what is coming to fruition at the time of the full moon. An eclipse, however, works across a much wider field, and it's usually the week before, the day of, and the week after that really sort of tells you what is unfolding, what is likely to be, moving through your life in some way, shape, or form, and what area of your life is going to be most impacted. Now, obviously, when you're looking at your astrology chart, it's going to be your from your ascendant that's going to give you the most accurate information. So this is a solar eclipse, which means that this is opening a portal. The full moon lunar eclipse that happens on March the 3rd, which is the tail end of this eclipse cycle, will close that cycle. So 2 weeks, and obviously the 2 weeks that exist in between are what, if you've been with me long enough, if you go right back to 2016, when I used to call this between the magic and the madness. The 2 weeks in between eclipses is always a very interesting, weird, wonderful, and funky kind of time. Now, the degree and the theme. So the eclipse is taking place at 28 degrees of Aquarius. These are the very final degrees of the sign, and the final degree of any sign represents both the shadow side of that sign, but also, that always sounds a little bit sort of defeatist and fatalistic to me, but we can't get around the fact that it can be quite intensely Aquarius. I myself am quite intensely Aquarian, even though I'm at the very center of the sign. And the other one is this points to mastery, what we have learned, what we've integrated, and what we're now responsible for using well. Aquarius holds the magic of the group, the tribe, the collective, anywhere that people come together for a shared goal, a vision, an idea, or even a destination. It rules the revolutionary, the different, the fringe dwellers, the unique individual as they relate to the whole. So, in effect, this eclipse really is serving as a bit of a reset of humanity. Now, what I love most about this eclipse is that it speaks to a reset in some way, shape, or form. Now, we've already experienced major shifts, right? We've now, at this point, when the eclipse actually hits, obviously, I'm recording this before, Neptune and Saturn will be moving towards the exactitude of their conjunction in the sign of Aries. That in itself is already setting into motion a reboot and a reset of humanity in a really big, epic way. The rose-tinted glasses at this moment in time, though, are truly coming off. We're no longer romanticizing the past, nor being overly hopeful or Pollyanna about the future. This is the dreaming energy that is grounded in reality. This is Saturn and Neptune working together in tandem. Just like Aquarius itself is said to be the bridge between logic and intuition. I like that idea. Right? So it's like having a dream that feels so real. And then when you wake up to physical evidence of what the dream has been saying, right? From something as symbolic as a bruise right through to something literal where you wake up and there's something on, or you're on the floor after having that dream, right? It's like, when you have that dream that you're falling and then you wake up on the floor, or you wake up with a bang and you're like, oh, I was falling out of bed. That's why I was dreaming this. It could be that. It could be more mystical. It could be more spiritual. It could be more literal. Either which way, I think we're going to see this certainly unpack over the next 3 to 6 months. So I've said many a time that 2025 was the reboot of humanity and 2026 represents a brand new era. So this eclipse is really a part of that defining moment that's unfolding at this moment in time. So, Aquarius, adolescence, and evolution. Aquarius is the 11th sign of the zodiac, sitting towards the end of the cycle. And that means that this eclipse is not just a culmination, but a moment where humanity is entering adolescence as a species, no longer innocent, no longer unaware, but not fully yet mature in what it's going to be. The Aquarius part of your chart is where you're meant to be completely unique, where you're meant to be completely yourself, where you recognize the expertise and the knowledge that you already hold, and where you are asked to put that into service in some way, shape, or form for the collective. So it's bringing a fated new beginning in some way, shape, or form, right? Whenever the nodes are involved in something, there tends to be a fated or destined or even karmic, if you like, element to whatever's unfolding. And this new moon solar eclipse, a massive beginning, a major turning point. It signals a revolution rising through the people. So, on the wider world stage, in some way, shape, or form, we're likely to see this as well. Pluto at the beginning of Aquarius is empowering us while exposing the shadow within the human nature that needs to be healed, worked with, integrated, and ultimately transcended. Pluto is not only about death. In my humble opinion, and I've said this forever, for as long as I've been reading about Pluto, Pluto really reveals to you what the pure potential of something actually is. Because this eclipse is happening at the end of Aquarius, the old order where humanity functions as separate, disconnected parts, has reached its limit, right? We've seen that out in the world. We can see it playing out every single day. We're being pushed towards functioning as one system, one unit, one collective of people. And power lives when we move as a unit, when we move as a community, when we move as a collective. We can already see the old structures breaking down, and Aquarius represents the future, something new coming in, something new being birthed through us as a collective. We can already feel the new world being ushered in, and this is not a spectator moment. The idea that one person can't make a difference is over, right? Really well and truly over. When we band together as a collective, as a singular force, real change, real connection, real interaction becomes inevitable. The eclipse, and this eclipse in particular, is seeding a new collective destiny. And that destiny is asking us to be seen as the individuals that we are, as we connect and relate to the whole. Now, there is another story playing out with this as well. And that is the story of compassion, creativity through the Piscean lens, right? Why? Well, the North Node that is creating this eclipse is residing in the sign of Pisces. This eclipse speaks to the idea of compassion, creativity, and caring for those who cannot care for themselves. We are, after all, a brotherhood or a sisterhood of humanity, and it is time that we started fucking acting like it. Power does not lie in the individual powerlessness. That belief has to be undone now. And so, while the age of the victim is over, that does not mean that we won't be standing up for what is right, and it does not mean that we will be passive bystanders anymore. This is a moment where you cast your vote, not politically, but energetically. This is about whether you are willing to stand with your people, your tribe, or your community, or effectively to just go it alone, right? Now, as a very much a lone wolf in so many different ways, I have always said that I am not great by myself. It's the people around me that I'm connected to that really push me to any form of greatness or recognition that I might have or is viewed for me to have. And even though this is a universal 1 year, where personal sovereignty really matters, it's still many raindrops, many molecules of water that form the ocean. And so that's a really fancy way of saying, how and who are you connected to? And if there were ever a time to stand up and be counted as a part of the collective, this is absolutely it. So remember, eclipses unpack or unfold over 3 to 6 months. This is not a one and done kind of energy. Right now, I want you to ask yourself, what groups, connections, and communities are you a part of? Where do you know change is possible? And where are you being called to stop doing this thing that we call life, or anything that you're trying to achieve really, alone? If you don't have a tribe, maybe it's because you're supposed to create one. And I say this to people all the time when people say to me, Raf, like, I'm looking for my tribe, I can't find my people. Maybe one that you need or the one that you need doesn't exist. Maybe you are supposed to be the person that creates that. The astrology of this moment, action is required. The eclipse energy is going to square Uranus, which is Aquarius's modern ruler, and it's going to sextile. Um, well, the eclipse doesn't sextile anything. Saturn, the ancient ruler of this eclipse, is sextile to Pluto and conjunct to Neptune. So it's a really interesting time. Now, remember, whenever you're seeing a square, so this eclipse is square to its modern ruler Uranus, who is in the sign of Taurus at 27 degrees, finishing up its last business there for the next 84 years. Squares demand action. Squares do kind of, they describe difficult births, not optional ones. And if you've been with me long enough, you've heard me say this. I believe that squares are energies that make you uncomfortable enough to say, you know what, fuck that. I'm not having this experience again, so I'm going to do something about this. Uranus as a planet brings shock, disruption, rebellion, awakening. It's called the Great Awakener. Saturn in Aries calls for courage, responsibility, and bold leadership. And together, in the way that they're interacting, even though they're not connecting, in an aspect, they're asking you, will you engage even when it's uncomfortable? The fact that Mars, the ruler of Saturn and Neptune at this moment in time, is in the sign of Aquarius means that the power truly is with the people. The fact that we have Pluto and Mars means that it really is the power in the hands of the people. So, a portal, not a moment. As I have studied astrology and worked with moon energy, if you know anything about Rafi, you know I am a complete lunophile, if that's even a word, but I have a love affair with the moon. Luna is just, she is like my, and I have a deep affinity to the moon. Maybe it's because I'm a Cancer moon. Either which way, what I've come to understand is that a new moon is not just a beginning, it is a portal, right? And so this eclipse is also a portal. Pay attention to what enters your life. Give it space to unfold, but be ready to act when the shift comes because it absolutely will. This is a North Node eclipse, which means that what arrives is both fated and new. And I often liken eclipses to train tracks mid-journey, right? So you're going this way, the eclipse hits, and then the tracks shift and you start going that way. The destination is shifting, and suddenly so does your life. So the questions around this are you ready for something more? Are you ready for something new? And what space of your chart does Aquarius reside in? Because this is the moment where that is about to shift. And over the next 18 months, things are really going to change for you in some way, shape, or form. So let's explore what this might look like for your specific sign. Ooh, excuse me. So, for Aries, we'll start with you. Aries, this new moon solar eclipse is obviously taking place in your 11th house of social networks, groups, group associations, friends. The 11th house is also benefactors, people who are helpful to you or helpful to your cause in some way. And it may be that you are enlisted or you feel compelled to be enlisted or to enlist yourself in some kind of cause over the next 18 months. Since the North Node is in Pisces in your 12th house, it also does suggest that there's a chance for you to overcome something significant from your past or your history. And it may even be that there's a path that opens up through the spirit realm or some kind of past benefic blessing coming to you now that really enables you to look at your future goals, plans, because that's the 11th house as well. The 11th house is your future, where you truly are going from here. So this is a time for you to think about how you can use the networks that are available to you to be open to new networks or people coming in some way, shape, or form, and what that might possibly mean. It's also a time for you to start understanding your own deeper motivations in some regard. And then for the square to Uranus, well, the square to this eclipse is squaring Uranus in your second house, which means that maybe there's a group that you want to join, but there's a financial consideration that seems to be a hindrance. It could also be that there's a conflict of values between you and a group or a friendship at this moment in time. It might be that there's a breakdown in the connections that you have socially, or even that there's an invite or an incitation that causes you to rally the troops and get really vocal on social media, which is also another technological thing. Since these are both houses of gain or money, because obviously Uranus is in the second, which is your house of money. The eclipse is happening in your 11th, which is the gains from your business. So it's quite possible that there could be a financial element to this eclipse for you. It could really unfold in some way. Saturn and Pluto are also in a sextile between your first and 11th house, which means that and obviously Saturn is conjunct Neptune at this time as well. There's potentially here an opportunity for you to recreate your identity by aligning yourself with people who break you out of power struggles that just do not help you grow. So it's like you could see that maybe somebody comes to your aid and really highlights, like, actually you're in a bit of a spiral or a pickle at the moment. I'm going to help you sort of navigate this in some way, shape, or form. So I would like to bless my deck of cards with forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, for you, Aries, your tarot message is the Four of Pentacles. If you can get out of your own way and not be so rigid, if you can consider what is meant to be held on to at this moment in time and what is meant to be released, this is a really good time for you to see if maybe the old ways of doing things just need to be shifted in some way, shape, or form. It could also be that this is a time for you to really pay attention to the money, the finances, and the resources and ask yourself, do you actually trust the universe enough to bring you what you need and what you feel like you deserve or desire? Taurus, this eclipse for you is happening in your 10th house. A new moon solar eclipse in the 10th house, in some regard, is when it comes to your career and your social status. This is it's an eclipse, right? So all bets are off in some way, shape, or form. The square to Uranus, which is now in your sign, is wrapping up its mission there. It will be done by April 26th, and then you will be done for the next 84 years. All right, so which, well, who knows? With the technology that's coming, we might be living longer than that. The square to Uranus means that there's something about and around your identity because the 10th house is the most visible part of you. It's your legacy, your career, your social status, how people see and view you specifically. And in a square to Uranus, right? So that eclipse is changing your career, it's changing your visibility, it's changing how you are seen, how you move through the world. And yet, that Uranus in the first house is saying something about your identity and therefore your career and also your social status is about to shift. Uranus wrapping up that energy before it moves into Gemini. It's like the power that lies in the fire that you feel under your tushy to meet the world in a brand new way. And that square, obviously, as that square is being activated, it might feel like the world wants from you something that you either can't or won't give or feels uncomfortable. It may be that you're thrust into the limelight in some way, shape, or form, and you're like, okay, this is a lot, right? Like I've got a camera shoved in my face 24/7, or, suddenly, I have all of these people that know who I am or know what I do, and I don't really know why or where or what to do with that. The thing is that exactly what you need to lean into is what's probably unfolding for you now. You're being asked to reveal a new version of you, a new side to your nature, and to share it with the world. Remember that the 10th house is the most visible in the chart, which means that you might feel like you have to jump into something that you're not ready to. But once you get started, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is the best kind of detour I could have ever allowed my life to go on. Now, Saturn and Pluto are in sextile to Mars across your Saturn and Pluto, sorry, are sextile to each other across your 12th and 10th houses. And that means that the time to release an old story and take your power back in who you are now is absolutely at hand. For you guys, you have the Five of Pentacles. What fear around money, resources, around who you will become is really holding you in place. The reason I say this is because the Five of Pentacles can also be a reminder that sometimes help is actually closer at hand to us, or the thing that we want or desire most is actually really close to being ours, but it's us that's getting in the way of it because we have fear around what is, the status quo in some way, shape, or form. And that status quo for you, for everybody, in some way, shape, or form is going to shift here. Gemini. So for you, Gemini, this is taking place in your ninth house. This is an eclipse in the beautiful ninth house, which is expanding your worldview and your connection to the universe. It's likely to bring you a greater desire over the next 18 months to travel, to connect to people that are far and wide, around the world. You might find that there's a really inspiring energy in the air that asks you to reveal something new to the world, since the ninth house is publishing, broadcasting, all manner of sharing with large swathes of the public, books, blogs, YouTube, all of that good stuff. This is a new way of seeing the world, and how, like, seeing the world in those new or from those new perspectives can open new doors. And also, a new eclipse ushers in a cycle of new ways of connecting to the world. The square to Uranus across your ninth and 12th houses, which means that there's a very spiritual shifting dynamic in the background that's likely to see you changing your perspective on something, even if it feels chaotic and somehow forced. It's also possible that it could be some kind of vice or challenge that comes to a head, and it's like you have a moment where clarity spikes and there's a message from spirit, or maybe even a past loved one that comes in and really helps you shift your perspective and maybe take the path less traveled. Saturn and Neptune are in sextile to Pluto across the 11th and ninth houses, which, I mean, that in itself is really interesting because it does speak to a very powerful spiritual element to this whole thing for you. And there's a lot of help in the background coming from people that you know. So this could be that there are coaches, mentors, gurus, etc., that are coming in that really help change your mind around certain things. It could also be be that you become the teacher, coach, or mentor to others and really, one, realize over the next 18 months how much knowledge and wisdom you have to share, and more importantly, how much you actually want to share. So, very, very interesting. Remember, the ninth house is also legal matters and proceedings as well. And so that sextile between Saturn and Neptune conjunction and the sextile to Pluto, it does make me think that there is some kind of contract that comes about over the next 18 months that sees you realizing a very big goal, something that you really envision for your future. It's like this, I think this eclipse is going to seed the moment. But I think over the course of the next 18 months, it's like something really comes to fruition, and you're like, wow, I remember when I was just talking about this thing, and now here it is in actuality. For this, you have the Three of Cups. I love this for you. The message really here is it's all about connections. It's all about the people that you know. It's all about the people that you connect with, interact with, share with, all the things. Now, Cancer. For you guys, this is taking place in your eighth house. This is a new moon solar eclipse in the eighth house. This is a chance for you to reboot your personal power and the deepest part of your inner fire. You may feel the need from here on in to start delving very deep into your personal psychology, into the spiritual power that is available to you, which, I've always said it. Cancer is the most psychic of the signs because they're actually able to use this. Scorpio tends to hide it or, damp it down or use it for whatever. Pisces is like, I'm getting everything all the time. So I'm just like, yeah. No offense to my Pisces. You guys know I love you, but you are a little bit la la la. All right. And, for intuition to really be useful, you have to have a good grounded connection to it. Cancer is able to intuit and act on those intuitions as well. And I think that has something to do with the fact that it's a cardinal sign. Over the next 18 months, you're likely to feel a pull towards delving deep into the occult and spiritual sciences. That would not surprise me at all. So, your astrology, tarot, numerology, the I Ching, all of that stuff. There's a chance for you to enhance and level up your intuitive powers, like as if you needed any help. But this period of time could really help you enhance those abilities within you. In the square to Uranus in Taurus, which for you is residing in the 11th house, friendship and money do not mix at this time, right? Especially at the time of this eclipse, but certainly over the next 18 months, be mindful of how you sort of tread that terrain at this time. It's wise to be mindful since both of these are financial houses in some way, shape, or form. You might need to consider the longer term future and the goals that you've set yourself when it comes to your finances and resources. It kind of feels to me like maybe the goal, sort of becomes real, it becomes tangible, but then you realize like, okay, in order to do this, it's going to take this, this, and this, right? And so then you kind of end up having to say to yourself, right, what are the actions that I'm going to need to take in order for this to sort of unfold correctly? It may also be that help comes from, it could even be that a financial goal maybe, is realized very quickly. Maybe it becomes possible, but it requires fast action. It could be that help comes from an unexpected source, but it requires you to move quickly and to accept that it likely won't happen in the way that you expect or that you're not in control of it. It could also be as well that maybe somebody says, look, I really want to help you with this. I want to be a part of this. And then suddenly there's a lot of expectation or things that come in with it as well. So just be aware of that. The sextile in the background means that there's a connection between your eighth and 10th houses, which means that there is, yeah, sorry, I had a complete moment there. But the sextile in the background between your eighth and 10th houses means that there's a chance that what's being wrought in your, like whatever's being wrought in your career at this moment in time, it's leading to solid financial changes that are actively going to bring new opportunities that provide you with a deeper sense of fulfillment on a spiritual level. So for you guys, this is, there's a lot more going on here. And remember, you are lunar. you are the moon child. So the eclipses always affect you that much more. It's going to be an 18-month process that unfolds. And the fact that this one is in the eighth house and there's other things happening in the background, I think could be very powerful for you. For this, you've got the Queen of Swords. Of course, you do. I think this is going to be a time where instead of looking to nurture and nourish and always be the person that comes through with the goods, I think this is going to be where you start to really fight for the vision that you have for your own life moving forward. And therefore, what is, it's like you're speaking up about what's really important to you, but for once, you're not backing down for whatever somebody else's needs are. I'm here for it. For Leo, my ascendant brothers and sisters, this is happening for you in your seventh house, right? So I'm just going to sort of start with a small caveat. I am a Leo rising. I'm a true Leo rising as well. Meaning like it's not on the cusp or whatever. Like I'm a true Leo rising. Whether you check my chart in Placidus, whether you check my chart in whole sign, and when you check it in Vedic as well, like I'm always a Leo rising. So I know I'm a true Leo rising. Um, all of this relationship stuff that people keep talking about with Leo, meh, yet to see any of it. My backside is as single as the day is long, okay, and has been for a very long time. Not sure if that's going to change. I hope it does. With that said, your relationships are in general, and remember your seventh house is personal, professional, platonic, familial, anywhere that you spend a lot of or deep connective time with a one-to-one person, that is considered a relationship. So your relationships as a whole are about to get these massive shakeups, and it's going to be something like, in a lot of ways, there's going to be some very different ways of connecting and moving forward. This, by and large, as well, is a very good thing. And remember, eclipses always affect you more because you are the sun. So whenever we have an eclipse, whether it's a new moon solar eclipse, whether it's a full moon lunar eclipse, you are always involved in that. And so you obviously will feel these that much more. An eclipse in the seventh house, and a North Node eclipse at that, is prompting you to look at the truth of reciprocity in your connections and interactions and to consider what is really important to you, and also who is really important to you when it comes to connecting in general. Now, as this new moon solar eclipse is on the North Node, and the North Node is still in Pisces, which is in your eighth house, it's really about the depth of connection that you share with people. It's also about the spiritual connection. Now, I'm not one to wax lyrical about soulmates and all of that stuff, but if you are single, it's very likely that over the next 18 months, the next connection that comes in will very likely be exactly that. And, if you've been with me long enough, I'm not one of those like, yeah, you're meeting your soulmate every week, every month, every eclipse. You're like, even if it's in the worst position for you, like, yeah, soulmate, lottery win. That's not me. You know that, right? But it's also possible that financial connections and partnerships of a material consideration and even business relationships are likely to be forged and also adapted over the course of this next 18 months as well. It's a very big time for your relationships in general. Now, as a Leo rising, as I said, I haven't really seen much of this, so it will be interesting to see how this unfolds. If you're one of those people, then it's probably going to be much longer. Now, the sextile in the background between Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto is happening across your ninth and your seventh houses, which means there's opportunities to teach, to learn, to travel, to connect. And what's really, and really to interact with people and situations and opportunities that are very likely to expand your horizons in some way, shape, or form. Now, I will say that the hermit life is over because remember, this eclipse is going to be squaring Uranus in Taurus, which is in your 10th house. So something about relationships and career is about to start shifting in a big way. And I think that this is maybe where you start to realize, like, hang on a sec, why are people expecting so much of this from me? Because that feels like you're asking me to bend over backwards, and then you realize, like, well, shit. Actually, I have been bending over backwards in a lot of my relationships for a very long time, and now I'm putting a stop to it. People are uncomfortable because they're realizing that I realize my own worth, whatever that looks like. The hermit life is over, Leo, so buckle up, right? Remember, the sextile in the background is just that, it's just an opportunity. If you do nothing with it, you get nothing from it. If you're partnered, the relationship will very likely need to evolve now. If it doesn't, it just won't work, right? It probably won't survive. And I don't say that to scare you. I say it to empower you to think differently about the connection that you have and why it isn't what you want it to be. And if it's already great and strong, the power lies in creating and using opportunities within or with your relationship moving forward in some way, shape, or form. So Virgo, this is happy. Oh, Leo, I almost forgot your card. Of course it is. So Leo, your tarot card for the eclipse is the Fool card. New things, new places, new people, new connections, new interactions, new opportunities through new people, new opportunities through travel with or connecting with people that are close, people that are distant, people that are just people in general. But the Fool card always brings new opportunities for everything. And if you are thinking about like how to get the most out of this, the path less traveled is the way forward. So Virgo, for you, this is happening in your sixth house. And this is a house that you already have. It's a house in the chart that you already have an affinity to, because the sixth house is one that you understand, right? You are the sixth sign of the zodiac. So while the signs and the planets, sorry, the signs and the houses are different, you definitely understand this energy better than most. This eclipse is a fresh start in your health habits, patterns, and routines, and it's likely that these are going to be a greater focus for you from here on in. My feeling around this is that there's going to be a greater focus on what it means to be of service, but what that and it might very well be that the service that it means for you to meet the world as a healed and fully enlivened version of yourself. Because the truth is, if we are not right in and of ourselves, if we don't have health or vitality, how much can we give to anybody else from a place of a full cup? I feel like there's a deep cynicism that has set in with a lot of you. And I don't say that to tell you how you feel. I say it because it's a really deep feeling that I had when I was writing the notes for this. I could feel this sort of deep cynicism with the world and the way that things are. There's a chance for you to rid yourself of that now, but it's going to require you to really delve deeply into yourself via your body and how you nurture and nourish yourself. Since the sixth house is about, who and what you are dedicated or devoted to, there is a chance that for you to devote yourself to something deeper than the surface. Since the node is in the seventh house for you, work relationships are likely to be a big focus around the eclipse period and also spanning over the course of the next 18 months. Who you work with, why, how, all of this is really being expanded in many ways. Now, the sextile in the background between that Saturn and Neptune conjunction and Pluto in your sixth house, it's really asking you to bring a deeper psychological consideration to who and what you feel being connected to, like what you feel good being connected to, and how it may throw up a deeper sensitivity to environments that you maybe haven't felt before. The square to Uranus from the ninth house of beliefs is going to see like where you meet and like how you meet and share with the world means that the universe is ushering in a new direction for you when it comes to work, but also how you share, what you share, and more importantly, why. There's a new energy that's emerging for you, Virgo, and it's going to shift your perspective and your belief in just about everything. The action part of this square is likely that something that you learn or desire to teach just doesn't land in the way that you had hoped, which means that you need to pivot quickly. And I think this is a good thing because it's going to show you where the rigidity about something has set in and where you're no longer growing in a specific area of life. Your card for this eclipse is the Death card. So, what ending, completion, or culmination do you know you are ready to experience? What is it that you know has come to its natural finite close or end? Because whatever you're ending at this time, it really is going to free up. This is one of the things that I love about the Death card. It's often, when it's not obviously telling you that someone is going to pass away, it usually shows that you have more energy, time, essence, etc., for what you want because you're letting go of what really has served its purpose or its time. Libra. For you, this is taking place in your fifth house, an eclipse cycle that begins in your fifth house, the place of joy, expression, sex, pleasure, romance, creativity is rebooting this area of your life. When was the last time that you felt loved and excited, pleasured, seen, liked, joyful, happy, creative? When was the last time, Libra, that you remember those feelings and that you are ready to have more of them in your life? Many of you might now begin to look at how you can find fulfillment in other places besides your marriage, besides your love life, or your connections to others, and find fulfillment through sheer joy of working on and creating something that goes beyond you. And I say this because that North Node that's servicing this eclipse is in the sixth house for you of work, of habits, patterns, routines. And also, I feel like a lot of you might be really seeing how you can find and enhance those things in your life via different or new sort of creative avenues in some regard. The sextile that's taking place in the background between the fifth and the seventh houses suggests that you might be seeing past or present relationships in a very different light. Those rose-tinted glasses around relationships are coming off, around, in general, are coming off for all of us in one area of our lives, over another. But the opportunity created by this sextile for you is that there's a chance for you to forge new partnerships of all kinds that feel free of those past blind spots. So you're not going in over giving anymore. You're not going in saying, well, I'll make my pleasure smaller so that you can enjoy or have more of it. You're not sort of putting your own desires on the back burner for other people's. And that square to Uranus in the eighth house means that you're getting really serious about your finances out of necessity. But beyond that, it's like you'll really need to act swiftly as you realize that it's going to be through your own ideas, your own efforts, your own creativity, your own business, if you have one, or your work that your success is going to be generated for and to generate the funds that you need moving forward. So your card is the King of Wands. I love this for you, right? Because it means that you really are standing tall in your power. And it also means that you are ready for a greater sense of fun, freedom, visibility, leadership, and authority. In a way, I kind of feel like even though the fifth house is not necessarily about authority, I feel like this is you guys coming into your own in a way more powerful way than maybe you ever have before. So I'm here for that. For you, dear Scorpio, this is happening in your fourth house, right? So, in the deep foundational area of your chart, Scorpio, your emotions, your home, your living situation, and your deeper drives and motivations at a soul and an instinctual level are being activated. So, over the next 18 months, you're being given a chance to start over. And I think this is going to show you what support, what care, what nurturing connection actually are for you now at this stage of your life. There's a fresh start in this area, and it's going to be like, I think it might be a surprise. It wouldn't surprise me actually if some of you are learning that, a change of location or, maybe a desire to do so over the next 18 months really finds, grips you in some way. Since this is at the late degrees of Aquarius, it means that your established rule of thumb in this area is what's being subjected to change and adaptation. So your relationships of all kinds, but especially those in the heart of the family, are really, really being brought to the forefront here. They're going to undergo major shifts and deep changes. And I will say that I think maybe you need to think really deeply about what it means to be in an emotional relationship with someone. So that doesn't necessarily just mean like a personal relationship, but just in general. The disruption that comes, there's likely to be with that square to Uranus, there's a disruption that comes through the partner or a personal or even familial connection that you probably won't see coming, right? It doesn't have to be awful, but it will demand action. The sextile between the sixth and fourth houses means that there's a chance for you to use your emotions and maybe even unlock some kind of opportunity that helps you unlock some kind of hidden wealth. May even be that you have your house valued and you're like, holy crap, I didn't realize it was worth that much. Your feelings right now, Scorpio, are extremely potent, and with Pluto in your fourth house in that Aquarius space, so you might need to check where you're creating the isolation that you're feeling, where it's like, the call is coming from inside the house. Quite literally in your case. So you can adjust your vibe to attract more of your tribe, so to speak. So your card for this is the Two of Wands. This suggests that through your own actions to connect with the right people, through your own efforts to really understand what the pathways and options that are available to you are likely to interact or connect with lucrative persons, places, or situations. And for a lot of you, I really do think that this is going to be you gearing up to make some kind of move or shift or change of the home sector. So for Sagittarius, excuse me, my throat's really dry. This is happening in your third house. This eclipse for you is highlighting your local environment, and it's likely to bring changes into the lives of siblings, cousins, and neighbors. It's likely to be that these people are more prominent features of your life over the course of the next 18 months as well. Since the eclipse is also activating your skill set and your mind, it's possible that something becomes a very big discussion point over the next 18 months as you speak it into being, right? It's like you're learning this thing, you're obsessed with this thing, you get really focused on it, and all the while you're having these really interesting conversations as well. Now, you add to this that since the eclipse ruler Saturn is conjunct Neptune in your fifth house of romance and creativity, it's possible that something you once had sort of no inkling of could become something that you love or that you need more of over the course of the next eclipse, over the course of the next 18 months. So it's almost like maybe there's something that you always said, like, I don't want that, I don't need that, I don't ever have to have that, it's not for me. But slowly but surely over the next 18 months, that really starts to change for you in some regard. That North Node for you residing in the fourth house, which means that whatever comes up now, you are emotionally invested and you're seeking some kind of nourishment that maybe you feel is lacking in your local area. So this prompts that sort of Sagittarius energy within where you're kind of like, you know what, I'm going to go exploring in a bigger way. I'm going to lean fully into this. Like like you're in it, right? Like you're totally in it. Sometimes travel can also be an expansion of our mind and our skill set and even our family. The square to Uranus in the sixth house suggests to me that there's going to be like you're going to need to consider your own health, especially your motor skills and your nervous system. Now, obviously, I'm not a doctor, can't give you medical advice or any of that stuff, but do pay attention to those things over the next 18 months. That was nice. It could also be that an employee or a work situation requires quite a serious conversation, as something is revealed that is either missed or shared unexpectedly by an unexpected source. So this could be like, someone comes to you and tells you something about one of your employees, or, one of your employees comes and tells you something about your life or somebody in your life that you really weren't expecting. It's Uranus after all. Now, I think this information will be most illuminating, but it may change how you approach things moving forward. This is a learning and study placement as well as a commercial activities house, which means that there's a bigger or a deeper drive in some way for such things moving forward. For this, you've got the Three of Pentacles. If there were ever a third house card, an ultimate card of collaboration, connection, interaction, learning, study, the Three of Pentacles is absolutely that card. So I love this for you because it means that whatever you're setting into motion now, it's probably going to unfold in a really massive way over the next 3 years, which is huge. Capricorn. For you guys, this is taking place in your second house. So the new moon eclipse and this new eclipse axis is happening across your money, resources, values, and diet, and even your teeth. Trust me, I know this one well, right? When second house eclipses often bring up issues with with teeth or diet. So if you find yourself suddenly spending more money on dentistry or needing dentistry, or even saying to yourself, actually, you know what, I'm at that stage now where I want to fix my teeth, that can even happen as well. There might be, and it might become a greater consideration moving forward for you in some way. An eclipse in the second house on the North Node will absolutely expand your finances and your resources. But the vehicle of the eclipse is the North Node, and that's in the sign of Pisces in your third house at the time of this eclipse, right? So, what's interesting is that Venus is on the North Node, which means that there is a positive energy here, but it will require diplomacy, skill, and tact in order for you to extract the moolah. Now, the third house is about your skill set and your abilities and words and how you sell yourself, your ideas, and your products. Since your ruler is in the fourth house in the sign of Aries conjunct Neptune, this is a time that's going to require you to learn to take the emotion out of it. Stop being impulsive, but rather value quality versus quantity. And that sextile to Pluto in the second house, the opportunities that arise now can absolutely enhance your wealth prospects moving forward, but they're going to require new ways of thinking, new ways of speaking, new ways of acting, new ways of using your inner emotional fortitude to explore the hidden depths that within you to extract that wealth. It's also going to require you to get that self-talk in check, right? I would use this to begin building contacts and networks that allow you to expand your reach, broaden your learning, or even expand your wealth. And the square to Uranus in your fifth house means that it's possible that one of your children, if you have them, could like requires resources or financial support that comes at the wrong moment. It could also be that you have something that you really desire to do or to explore, or maybe some kind of fun or pleasure that you require for yourself, but it's like possible without it's not really possible without a significant expense in some way. It's also possible that a lucky break or opportunity comes up when the funds are being made so and the way I feel like this might happen is maybe you want to do this thing, you're like, oh, it's too much an investment, I can't spend that kind of money right now. And then it's like, boom, fifth house being activated, even though, it is a square, but it's like the fifth house kicks in, which is a very lucky space. Uranus is quite shocking. So it's like, actually, the money that you need is there. And then you're like, oh shit, okay. And I have to say, like, it will be worth the struggle. For this, you have the star card. Of course you do. And this basically says that not only is it worth it, but if you can look towards the future and really dig into what you know and believe that you deserve, and to change that self-talk enough to open your arms and accept it, this can be a time that builds serious, incredible wealth for you, certainly forward. And the star card is a long prediction card. This card is like 17 to 21 years into the future. So, whatever is being seeded at this moment in time, Capricorn, it really does have the ability to go very far and wide, but it's going to require a complete overhaul of the inner faculties and the wealth and the value that you attribute to yourself. Aquarius, my sun sign brothers and sisters, this is your moment, Aquarius. It may not feel so comfortable because it is an eclipse in our sign, and it's always eclipses in your sign, your sun, your moon, or your ascendant always bring massive changes. The last time we had eclipses in the sign of Aquarius, 2017, it was a South Node eclipse. I literally got up off my desk. I said, fuck this, I'm out, and I walked. And I leaned into Radiant Reality full time, and the rest is history, right? I started Radiant Reality in 2016, but that the job that I had at the time, I really liked, and then slowly but surely, everything around or about the job that I liked started shifting, and it was like those things were being taken away, and it was like the universe was giving me that push. And then when the eclipse hit, and I remember this because it was the 27th of June, I want to say June or July. No, I think it was July, the 27th of July. I literally just got up off my desk and I was like, you know what? Fuck this, I'm out. I don't need this shit. Very Aquarius, I know, right? So just a little heads up. Now, This one is a different story. The last time we had the North Node setting up eclipses in the sign of Aquarius, yes, the North Node is in the sign of Pisces. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the last time we had this was like 2007, 2008. Think back to then, and it will give you an idea of what was unfolding for you at that moment in time so that you can understand or get a rough overview of what is going to unfold now. This eclipse is at the tail end of the sign, which means that it's about self mastery in some way, shape, or form. This is in your first house, or if you're like me and this is your sun sign, this means that your whole life is about to shift in a really positive way, but it also suggests that your physical self is about to undergo a major glow up shift or change in some reason and in some way, shape, or form. And the reason for this, there's a few reasons. One, Venus is on the North Node and it's in the second house of values and self-esteem, which means that this eclipse isn't just about, it's not just changing you, but it's changing your view of yourself and the worth and the value that you attribute to yourself. Two, the node is in the second house, which means that there is a financial element to this eclipse, and it means that your resources are about to go through a shift as well, which will be very welcome, I feel. It will, of course, take time to unfold. Remember, everything that happens with or around eclipses, it usually takes 3 to 6 months to unfold, and the entire eclipse season of Leo and Aquarius is going to be 18 months, in its time. So that's something to think about as well. Now, the square to your modern ruler Uranus in your fourth house means that something to do with a family matter or even a property matter is likely to come up very quickly. It's possible that your home could require something like a renovation or a repair, and it's not the most opportune moment for this to come up. The good news is that with Venus on the North Node in the second house, the money that you need is available to you, right? The sextile between your ancient ruler Saturn, who is conjunct Neptune at this moment in time, which is operative, and the sextile to Pluto in your own sign and your third house means that you are able to rally the troops when you need, but it also means that the support that you need from siblings, cousins, or neighbors is available to you. So it's like the power, it's like you have the power to offer or to create or to sell anything that you desire or maybe need, but the message needs to be deeply aligned with your personal values and a greater sense of altruism. It can also signify that your thoughts on something are clashing with those of a family member or the family in general. And it's like there's a new way to do things, and it might require more diplomacy than first thought. And there's a value system clash somewhere that can't be ignored. For this, you've got the Hierophant card. I'm laughing because just recently I was talking to my spirit brother, and we were laughing, and and he made a joke. He said, "This is almost like the Hierophant." And he said, almost like as if to say, like, hold on, young lad, don't get ahead of yourself, slow down. And I laugh because I look up to him so much. Like, yeah, I really do. And so to see this come up for the Aquarius people for this eclipse, I can't wait to show him because I'm going to be like, I think we might be arriving. The fact that you have the Hierophant card means that you are re-establishing a greater sense of self and your personal status quo is about to shift. It also suggests that your self-belief is coming back in a really powerful way, and it's going to see you systematizing and structuring your world in a brand new way that is going to see you really reaching some kind of personal authority. Pisces, last but never, ever, ever least, this eclipse for you is happening in the 12th house. This is a chance for you to clear your karmic slate. The 12th house is your past, it's your hidden self, and that which is hidden from sight, and also very often that which is hidden from you. This is why it has the self-sabotaging tendencies that we talk about, and and that meaning in some way. There is a new start in your life unfolding, and the best way to approach this would be by being open to learning about who you really are, even the bits that you don't like or the bits that you don't want others to see. This is the deepest kind of journey, Pisces, one that you truly are equipped for. And because it's an eclipse in it's an eclipse in a house that your sign naturally understands, it can help you uncover many secrets, ones that you hadn't even realized yourself. So, like, I'm just going to give you some examples here. Maybe you realize, like, oh my God, do you know what? I've worked in this sector for 20 years of my life and I absolutely fucking hate it. What I really want to do is florist arranging, right? Something that you really like, maybe subconsciously you knew it, but you didn't really acknowledge it. This over this next 18 months, it's like the things that bubble up from your subconscious because that's the 12th house, right? It's for me, the 12th house is the silt that sits, that rich, deep, like oil, right? It's like the rich, deep silt that sits at the very base of the ocean, right? It's the very deep sort of layers within something that, you don't, you're not aware of how sort of potent or powerful or rich this thing is until it sort of, it is zhuzhed up. It could be a good thing when this happens as well, because it's like when you come to know yourself, also your approaches to things this much, like that much deeper, this is where you can really, really make solid power moves. It's not an easy set of eclipses. The 6th, 12th house axis is now starting to be activated for you, but I must say that they have, in hindsight, for me personally, been some of the most powerful and transformative energies that have moved through my life. And I have come to love the 6th house, 12th house axis because it's truly a kind of clarity and power. It's a new kind of clarity and power if you do the work. And this isn't me saying, like, well, if you don't do the work or you don't do what you're told, it's not about that. What I mean is, when I had my last 6th house, 12th house axis of eclipses, I did a lot of very deep work. It was not easy. I really trawled through it. And to be honest with you, I would have preferred not to have done it, but I didn't have an option. And the fact that I did, um, it was welcome, right? It was welcome. That's all I'm going to say. Now, over the next 18 months, there's a chance for you to release and really work with your past, your hurts, your wounds, your history, therapy. This is a therapy transit, right? And for those of you who do the work here, you will experience a life that is deeper and richer and more beautiful than ever before. And I can tell you that from personal experience. The eclipse here obviously is going to be square to your modern ruler. The eclipse in this sign is going to be square to Uranus, right? Which means, and my feeling about this is some past work situation is likely to pop up because this is Uranus is in the 3rd house, right? Which is your daily habits, work, and routine. Well, routines is more the 6th house, but your 3rd house is like your place of work, the commute to work. So do be careful over this period as well. My feeling about this is though, is like some past situation from work or maybe even a person, comes up and it feels personally disruptive or even sneaky in some way. It's like, oh, why is this person here now? Or, how's it that they're coming back into my world? It's only meant to show you what you have missed or what you are unaware of. It's not here to come for your entire life, okay? It's just meant to show you what within yourself you haven't really reconciled or dealt with yet so that you can let it come up and then let it be released. The sextile between Saturn and Neptune and the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your 2nd house are sextile to Pluto in Aquarius in your 12th house. This is a past financial opportunity. If you can grow through what you go through now, there is a chance for you to really grow well and powerful, but more importantly, there's a chance for you to really grow wealthy. This is about understanding your own inner resources and drawing them to you by knowing yourself better than ever before. And it's going to require you to go beyond secrecy. It's going to require you to speak up. It's going to require you to say, and we can see why, right? Venus is on the North Node in your first house, which means this is truly about you, Pisces. Yes, it's a 12th house eclipse, but this is about you, owning your history, owning your past, and then sharing some of yourself with the world. And it's like what you share now is going to grow you and your resources. And that Venus on the North Node in your sign is offering protection and enhancement of your beauty as well. The Mercury energy that's in your sign at this time is going to be amplifying your voice. If ever there were a time for you to be heard, Pisces, to use your voice to truly speak up, this is it. And it could be an incredible moment of liberation. You might feel like withdrawing from the world and hermiting and hiding. And sure, the 12th house is absolutely a time and a place to do that. But actually, if you can do the opposite, what you gain from it will be a strength that you have only ever seen in, well, I don't know, who are the strongest people that you know in your life? So, with that said, your tarot card is the Page of Cups. If you are willing to delve deeply and observe what is in the emotional sphere of your deeper self, you can and will succeed in a way that you have only ever dreamed of. I think this is going to be very exciting for a lot of you, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. If you would like to book a personal astrology reading with me or a personal astro tarot session with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. It would be my absolute pleasure to serve you. I would love to work with you in some way, shape, or form. So let me know in the comments, how does this show up for you? How does this speak to you? How does this unfold in your life? What are you noticing about this area of your life so far, and how do you feel like it's going to go? With that said, I wish you all an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius. Take care, and I will see you soon for lots more new things.